Welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, the only show that provides you with the best insight and information to everything Franklin County sports. And now here's your host, Bobby C.
Hello and welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. Want to welcome you here today. We're excited about our show as we're all done with the winter season, and now we get a chance to roll through some interviews as we get ready for the spring season. And in just a couple of minutes, I have four gentlemen that we'll introduce, and we can have a little chat about wrestling here today. Want to thank our sponsors, the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, also by Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield, also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, and by Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue A in Turners Falls. Want to thank our wonderful producer, Philippe Simone, for hanging with us here today. Also, we're on 3 TV stations now. We're on the home base. Yes, we are. We're here at GCTV in Greenfield, also at MCTV located in Turners Falls, and by the FCAT in South Deerfield. Well, as we get rolling here today, I just want to say a big welcome to 4 gentlemen that are here, and one of them is good old Dad. You know, it's always fun when you can be able to get one of the parents to come on as well, and I thought it was very personal, especially with the fact that this guy has dedicated so much time to his boys in wrestling. Want to introduce Brody Wood, Kyle Brunelle, Josh Brunelle, and Dad Jason Brunelle. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Hey, I just want to say that you guys had an incredible season this year to do what you guys have done. You know, you won another division championship, and you guys get to hang another banner up there. But you know what's even nicer is that you two are going to be able to have your names in the rafters over there at the Franklin County Tech School. So every time you go to visit, every time that you go to check out a match, your name's going to be up there as someone who did something special for your school. How does that feel for you there, Mr. Senior?
I mean, it feels like it's just unbelievable to be able to get my name up there and have years to come just see everybody's name, including mine. And yeah, it just feels amazing.
You know, you really worked hard, man. You put a lot of work in over there at the tech school and being able to take pride in the wrestling. And I think that the coaching staff that you guys have has really been a testament of the help that you guys have been able to get with some good guys who've been very committed in Coach Kamash and your assistant coach. Matter of fact, he just got honored this year as well. I see that he does an awful lot of training with not just you guys, but other kids from other schools, from what I was told.
Yeah, he does. He runs the Franklin County 5, so whoever wants to come, they can practice with us Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Have you noticed that wrestling is getting bigger, or are you still lacking numbers?
Numbers were a little slim this year, but we work with what we got. We're not going to force anybody to come out. If they want to try it, they can. But other than that, we work with what we got.
You know, I take a look at Kyle and I say, wow, you know, this kid right here, you know, you look at him and you think he's just the kid next door, but you get the kid on a mat and he's got a lot of viciousness in him, and you really take pride in this wrestling thing that you've been able to do since you were young. And my big thing that I just want to say is I remember you as a little leaguer, you know, and, you know, watching you guys grow up is just great. And I know that your dad, we'd be in the supermarket and he'd be like, hey, you know, we're on our way to Fitchburg, or on our way to this, or we're heading to Rhode Island. So you guys have been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
When did it really get started with the family?
5th grade for me.
5th grade for you? All right.
And then Josh for, I think it was 4th grade.
Yeah.
4th grade for Josh, and 5th grade for you.
Mm-hmm.
And what was it like in the beginning for you?
A little bit scary, but once you get through the first few weeks, it's fun. Just go out there, have fun.
What was your biggest challenge, you think, this year?
States.
States was quite the challenge.
Yeah.
You know, we had a chance to chat a little bit before we got on camera, and I was saying how there's such a difference between Franklin County and the Pioneer Valley compared to the Boston area. Mm-hmm. You know, what they consider a D3 and what we consider D3 out here is really a big difference. And you guys probably noticed that when you guys were down in the city competing against those other people.
Yep.
You know?
Big changes.
You know, what kind of facility do you guys, use to be able to do weightlifting and stuff? Do you guys have a nice gym facility that you guys get to work out in over at the school?
We don't have a very good weightlifting program. It's more you got to do it on your own.
So you really have to make that commitment to another gym yourselves.
Yeah.
There any local gyms around here that like to work with the school kids to be able to give you guys like a decent rate on membership so you guys can be able to take advantage of that opportunity?
I'm not 100% sure. I did a lot of work in the off season with Brian Ravish at Deerfield Cobb.
Love that guy. He's one of my buds, man.
Yeah.
Brian is one of my buds. And by the way, I just want to say, Brian, really sorry to hear about your mom who recently just passed away. She was a wonderful lady, and we love her very much. She was really sweet. And everybody that knew your mom knew that she was very special. So I just want to make sure I let that go to Rod. I've known him forever and ever. We're good buds. And his wife, Lucy's pretty special, too.
Yeah.
So you had a chance to be able to do a little lifting with him. And
yeah.
Were you guys doing that down in the Sunderland, South Deerfield area?
Yeah, right at his house.
Right at his house.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Yep. Little weightlifting over there on King Philip. All right, that's great. That's what I think is really hard is the fact that a lot of these schools, unless they're new modern schools, are putting money into these gyms.
Yeah.
And as you, as being a dad, you always say to yourself, some of the equipment that the kids need are still not available to some of these kids.
Right.
And I would think that weightlifting would be a very big, important part of what they need to do because they want to be able to physically strong, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You got to be physically smart because you got to know how to be able to, not get yourself in trouble where someone's going to pin you.
Right.
But you also have to remember that you need to be physically strong. So you need to use all different parts of your body to be in wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah, wrestlers don't really want to necessarily be gigantic like a weightlifter. They want to be a toned, strong, athletic kid that can move on the mat.
Yeah.
Because those big, strong kids usually, they get tired fast because those muscles take a lot of energy to keep going. So, you get a kid like that on the mat, and you're gonna, first period you can tire them out, and then, then that's when you take advantage because now they're tired and you're not.
Yeah.
Because you're not expending so much energy with all the big muscles. But you got to have to balance. You got a little bit of strength and obviously skill. Skill's got to go a long way as opposed to strength.
Yep, absolutely. Now, what about you? What really got you pumped up in the 4th grade when you had an opportunity to try wrestling? What was it like for you?
I was nervous at the beginning.
Yep.
And it was difficult.
Was it a big transition for you to go from what you were doing when hanging out with your friends to going to being a wrestler on a mat?
Yeah. It was like a lot of mental, physical.
The other thing too is I tell people that, my 10 pounds here on the TV don't matter to me, but 10 pounds matters in a weight class for you guys, because if you're in the 106-pound class and then you have to go to the 116 because you put on 10 pounds, now you're going after a different animal, correct?
Yeah.
Now, you pretty much hung around the 172, right around there pretty much most of the year, right?
Yeah.
You were the 138 guy.
Yep.
And you were hanging out in the 106 around there? 120. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's where you guys pretty much were throughout pretty much the whole year. You guys were able to sustain that weight.
Yeah.
So that you guys were able to continue to play, to compete at that weight class.
Yeah.
What is it like when you guys go to a big tournament where there's these big 7 or 10 team tournaments where you got people coming from all over that are all competing? Because you guys have done well in some of these tournaments where you guys have placed much better than a lot of other schools, and we can get into that in just a few. But what is it like not knowing anybody that you're going to go up against except for maybe the 1 or 2 schools that might get invited, which is maybe the 3 or 4 kids that are coming from Mohawk or the team from Frontier?
I used to get into my head a lot with all my years of wrestling, and then Aiken taught me this: you just got to breathe. And once I started breathing and didn't let anything get in my head, so that's how I was able to keep my cool.
Yeah. Now, what kind of preparation do you guys do on your way down? Do you guys pop the tunes and the earbuds in, or do you guys sit and just chat amongst the guys? What do you do when you guys are getting ready to prepare for one of your matches?
Well, me personally, I talk to everybody. Sometimes I'll chill and listen to music, but mostly it's just talking about wrestling, and sometimes watching previous matches on my phone.
There you go. That sort of lifts you up a little bit and gets you a little pumped up. Yeah. What's your preparation like?
Just have a little fun, let loose, try to get your mind off things, don't think about it too much. So
just go. You try to go in as relaxed as possible.
Yeah.
How about you, Josh?
I try to stay like calm, not really think about it, not get in my head.
Yeah. Do you pop in earbuds too, or you just sort of? Yeah. You like the earbuds, listen to music. You know, it's amazing how music really does do such good things, and especially in all sports, though. Yeah. I don't care if you're a golfer or you're getting ready to play in a football game. You know, it just doesn't matter. Something about music, man, and just be able to sort of relax you, but also whatever you're listening to is something that, you know, sort of gets your adrenaline going.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I think that's the key.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah, these guys are great at focusing. You know, the coaches do an outstanding job. You know, Coach Aiken, Gamache, and Coach Lacasse, Coach T, they all spend a lot of time, you know, obviously doing the technique and that kind of stuff, but then they get into, you know, like Michael said, you know, seed's only a number. You know, it doesn't mean anything. You go out on the mat and that's where you prove where you are, you know, in the tournaments, you know. So if a kid gets a seed, let's say a 3 seed, and, you know, you got to wrestle the 4 seed or whatever in the semis, you know, Mike just says go out there and do what you do, and, you know, and the better guy will come out on top. And, you know, generally he's right, you know, and he's good at preparing guys for that, just staying focused. And even if you lose a match, he wants you to be focused for the next match. Don't worry about what happened. Try to focus on what's coming up and thinking about that, you know, and getting ready mentally for that, because it's a lot of mental. You know, these guys spend a lot of time doing technique, but there's just as much mental stuff to do to get ready for a match, you know.
And I believe that, because the first thing that I would be thinking of if I was a wrestler is I'm thinking about what I got to be able to think about what I need to do before the other person tries to, you know, to attack me. You know, I got to be the aggressor, as they say. And I think that, you know, sometimes you can always get yourself in trouble and you can over-aggress, and that's where somebody can get you.
Yep.
And then you end up sort of losing your own match by your own stupidity.
Yeah, and I mean,
that can really happen. And,
yeah, absolutely.
And it can be very frustrating,
you know,
too.
for some kids, just physically looking at a kid can be like intimidating to them. Be like, oh my God, look at that kid, he looks really good. Mm-hmm. Then you find out he's like a first-year wrestler and he's not that great. And,
right.
And
can't
go
by that.
No, you just have to go out and wrestle your match. You know, we talk about that all the time. Wrestle your match. Don't wrestle their match. You know, so then you can be in the right frame of mind when you go out there and get your thing done.
Yeah. Well, I noticed that Mahar and the Franklin County Tech, you guys had quite the fun this year against each other as well. And you guys, you know, were able to come up on top and be able to do well against those guys. And I noticed that when you guys took on big teams, that you guys all came up big with wins for your school. And that's a testament to you guys all being able to work hard and doing what you guys have been able to do. And, you know, the one thing that I've learned, and it's funny because your dad told me this one, is I'm like, how did you guys end up, only having 6 wrestlers, and you guys ended up giving up 18 points. Well, now that I know everything, it's easier for me to talk about it on my show. After the first year, I asked your dad one time, and he said, well, 6 points per forfeit is what each team gets. Yeah. So if you have 3 forfeits in a game, that's 18 points for that team.
Which is huge.
Which is a huge deal. And so what I mean by that, guys, is that what if you guys are up against a team and you're undermanned because of injuries or whatever? That can really cost you guys matches, correct? As a team.
Yes.
Yep.
So staying healthy is almost like so important for you guys
when the numbers are down, for sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, against bigger teams that have more kids to fill holes, you know, then it becomes a coaching game at that point. You know, like Gamache is like, he's the master at, you know, juggling the lineups around, you know, and he never really has a permanent lineup when we're in a duel. And shuffling guys around, you know, like maybe bumping up a weight class to wrestle, you know, like Kyle, a 45, or Josh, a 26, or Brody up to 82, to try to fill in the hole where they might have a hole that they can't fill, and we can shuffle a little bit depending on how things go.
Yeah.
And that's how you can win some of the matches, you know, against other teams, even bigger teams than what we have, like Mahar. Mahar's a big team numbers-wise. But just a little. It's a strategy game, really. At that point.
And I'm looking at the score of the match that you guys had back in January, and you guys ended up winning 42-30. So really, you guys only won by two. You only won by 2 matches, really, to be able to get that win. So, but think about it. That's a slim number. 2 is a slim number.
It's not much.
Then you guys play a team like Smith Vocational, and you beat them 66-0. I mean, that's just you guys just dominated their school. They're a school that probably didn't have numbers, number 1 and number 2. You guys were just a much more prepared program.
And if you go back and look at the scores, and you actually look at the scores, even dual meets that we were close matches. Mm-hmm. If you go and look at the actual wrestled matches, we won more matches on the mat than we lost.
I believe that.
We dominated on the mat, but we lost in the forfeits.
Yeah.
So that's why it's very important. I think Granby was one that we had to really win out. Mm-hmm. Everybody had to do their thing on that match in order for us to even have a chance to win.
It's funny because Coach Shamash talked about some of those matches of how that worked, and that was great, information for me to get as well.
Yeah.
I remember when there was a nice write-up that came up in the Greenfield Recorder where Wood hit century, and when you hit it, you also had a chance to do it at a tournament that you guys were on, and you also had the opportunity to be able to literally have a picture with the gentleman who the tournament was named after. And that must have been a pretty cool moment for you.
Yeah, it was great to be able to end it up on a tournament day.
Yeah.
That's kind of how we're setting it out over and over. We would go over tournaments and win percentages, say I'm going to win 3 matches at this tournament, and play it out. So we kind of got a general idea that it would be hit at a tournament, which was nice.
It was nice, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that was even nicer is the fact that you were able to literally have an opportunity to be able to get a photo op with the guy who the tournament was named after, and that he was able to be there and to be a part of that day as well. Sometimes you always say, "Oh, well, it's named after the person," but is the person going to show up? Well, that worked out perfect for you. So
he's actually a coach for Chicopee Comp?
Yep, Chicopee Comp. That's what it said right here. Yep. At Chicopee.
He's a great guy. I've had some conversations with him.
Yeah, and it said that there was, that he was able to be a part of this. And then, of course, your coach says, this kid's certainly put in a lot of work. He's, put in the time and has improved every year over the last 4 years that he's been with us. He's wrestled off season. He's gone to camps. Freshman year, he was behind some really good kids that were able to do well, and he was able to really sort of mesh in with those guys. So really some nice things were said by Coach Gamache about you and how proud he is of what you've been able to do. And even on that day that you ended up hitting your 100, Kyle ends up going 3-1 that day. So he had a good tournament there that day as well. So you guys just seem to all work together really well, and that's what it's all about. I'm going to go to the young man over here for a minute because I gotta ask him, what's it been like to be able to be behind your brother who's sort of been getting a little bit of extra airtime and getting a little bit more notoriety and things like that? Has it motivated you to be able to become a better wrestler watching your brother do what he's doing?
Yeah. It's kind of when I need to work on something.
Yep.
It helps me.
And do you feel that the future's pretty bright for you? Are you feeling really confident in what you're going to be able to achieve?
Yeah.
I personally think that was the right answer because I think you're going to do well too. And I think what's also going to make it well for you is the fact that, your brother still has another year left and Dad is going nowhere. And, your dad just really loves this. I think your dad loves the wrestling thing sometimes more than you guys, man.
Yeah.
He's buying in, man. He's suffocated now by wrestling.
Yeah, I drank too much of the water.
Yeah. So, but you know what it is that he's very proud of both of you. And I think that when you guys got started, Dad had an envision of where it would go, but this has turned out to be a pretty good ride here, Jason.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was a good start for us to go to. We went to Fitchburg Youth Wrestling, and that was kind of by I wouldn't say by accident, but I bumped into some people kind of mutually I knew that were involved in the wrestling community when I wanted to get the kids involved, and I started talking, and then kind of that's how it worked into going to Fitchburg because I knew one of the guys that started the program out there, Rudy Polino, and then went out there, got to know them guys, kind of got involved out there, which they have probably one of the best youth programs in all of Mass. Josh was last year as his 8th grade year. The team, they won states in New England's as a team. He wasn't able to wrestle because he hurt his elbow. He qualified for states, but then he couldn't wrestle because he tore some ligaments in his arm. So he actually wrestled with a brace all year this year.
Yeah.
But that team and the coaches out there are fantastic, and we still communicate with them. We still visit with them. I still see them guys all the time, talk to them guys. So it was good for for both of them. And then Josh, so basically like Rudy would say, youth is great and accolades in youth are great. He said, but it matters what you're going to do in high school because that's where you get your name on the banner at school. After you get out of youth wrestling. And he kept, he's always said, and I was kind of skeptical, when Kyle came to high school, he's like, he's going to be fine. He's going to do good things, and he's going to be fine. He's going to, he's going to do a lot of good stuff in high school. And he said, when Josh gets there, he's going to do the same thing. And, you kind of, you take a little grain of salt because you don't really know how that's all going to go down.
Yeah.
And, the kids have done that. They've done what they said they would do.
Yeah.
So it's great.
But that's because good coaches are able to see the talent that's in the kids.
Yeah.
And then they saw the work ethic too. And that, I'm looking here and I say, okay, that Franklin County Tech versus Frontier matchup that you guys had back in January, 36-36. But Josh Brunelle, winner. Kyle took it on the chin to Tuttle that day. And then you end up winning your weight class by a forfeit. So really, you two guys were in a situation where you needed other people to sort of step up to help out in that particular situation, right?
Yeah.
But that's a good thing though, because it makes it good for a guy like him who is an up and comer, and and he's got to know that there's times where your best players don't always have their best day.
That's right.
And that you need to be able to step up and fill that void, and that's why it's called team,
Yep.
Yeah. So that's a great, this worked out to be something really good for me to talk about, only because it's a factor of the fact that we're not always on our best every day. It just don't happen that way.
That's right.
In any sport. I don't care in anything, even going to work. We're not on our best day every day.
Yeah,
So it's a great sign when you can see other people be able to sort of fill that void on a time when they need help.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it great about team sports. But that 36-36, that must have been one hell of a match.
That was pretty intense.
It had to have been.
So Josh ended up wrestling their 113 bumped up to 120 to wrestle him.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that kid's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think he ended up pinning him. And then Kyle wrestled the Tuttle kid. I think. Did you wrestle 38? I think you.
Yeah, he wrestled at 38.
So they moved their 38. The kid that normally wrestles 38, right, moved up to 45. They bumped their kid up, and then they had another kid wrestle Kyle. It was unfortunate his arm got broken in that tournament.
Oh, and it did, man. And it did. And, and it's funny because I ran into him. I ran into Avery over the basketball season doing basketball that I do on the radio. And I ran into him, and him and I had a chat, and he said, yeah.
It was. I've watched the video a bunch of times, and I mean, it looked the takedown was a normal, everyday, run-of-the-mill type of takedown. It's just the way he landed.
Yeah.
He's posted with that arm out, and when he posted, it just broke.
Yeah, and he's a nice kid, too.
Yeah, he was a great kid.
He is. He's really a
and
good
he actually
guy.
took it really well. I was surprised how well
I
he
know,
took
but
it.
when I talked to him, his spirit was like, damn, brother.
Yeah.
Me, I'm one of those kids who'd be like, oh, man, I'm peed right now,
What was crazy is he was saying his elbow was dislocated. Just pull it in, just pull it in. He kept saying, you could hear him on the mat. But then when the trainer looked at him, they realized that it was a little more than a dislocated elbow. And then, off to the hospital he went.
Yeah.
But
and his mom, I know his mom Diane really well, and she was telling me that it's just such a sucky opportunity for him because he really enjoyed. Well, that wrestling program is pretty darn good over at Frontier. They've been good for a long time. They're pretty good for a lot of years.
They got some
I think what hurts people. I think what hurts people like a Mohawk is. Mohawk just doesn't have enough kids, guys.
No, well, that's what's hurting everybody.
It's like the commitment is just not there, and it's almost like you got 3 or 4 kids that are good, but there's not enough to fill the real team, right?
Right.
I mean, when you're going up against other schools,
and they're losing some of those kids this year as seniors.
To the Tech, Well, the biggest school to lose any enrollment to the Franklin County Tech school that's affected sports is Mohawk. Do you know that?
Oh, and
Mohawk's taken a huge hit with their
Turner's
sports.
is in the same boat.
Well, we saw that because look at the merger now.
Yeah.
Look at what you guys are going through right now with soccer.
Yeah.
And so things are really
football.
football, same thing. you guys are lucky that you guys have a decent enough kids to be able to keep football going, you know?
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for the guys coming in for Pioneer, you know, poor Chris LaPointe, you know how hard it is to try to run a team with 18 kids in a practice, 20 kids?
Yeah.
It's hard.
Both sides of the ball every time.
That's my point, guys.
Yeah.
You got to play both sides. You got guys playing both ways. And everyone needs a blow every once in a while. You know, you got to get a guy in there once in a while to give you a blow. You know, so it's a tough thing. Sports has gotten tough around here.
It has.
You know, and I always said one of these days it's going to be two schools around here. There's going to be your community school. There's going to be your Voc school. The tech school is just only going to get a little bigger because it's going to be more Voc. They're going to have to figure a way to be able to add more, and then you're going to see your big regional school, Franklin County. That will happen. It will sometime happen. I don't know when.
I think I was just talking to somebody today, and they just told me that the kids that applied to the tech school was like 160 kids this year.
See?
Last year they took 143-ish kids, something like that. I mean, that's a lot of kids from Franklin County to go to apply into the tech school.
Because you know why, guys? You guys got a lot to offer. Number one, you guys can make money while you're in high school. How sweet is that, man? You got a job, man. You know, you take your job of what you guys are what you guys are taking for your major or whatever you guys are going in for your shop or whatever, and then you have the co-op program that you guys have, so you guys can make a little dough. You know, that's always nice when you guys can be able to make a little dough while you guys are still playing sports. You know, a little extra cake in the pocket while you guys are still playing. It's not affecting your practices and being able to still be a part of that team. Sort of gives you a chance to be able to build a work ethic. It still gives you a chance to get your education. It still gives you a chance to have a team. So you're getting really three elements that you get from going to the tech school right now.
That's right.
Especially our athletes, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, the sporting programs there are really good. You know, they've got good, I think the basketball team's pretty good. You know,
things are coming along.
You know, football, baseball, soccer team did really well. You know,
they did a wonderful thing this year.
Both these guys played soccer.
And don't get me started about the seedings on that whole soccer thing, because that'll get me off. But, Kyle, you hit the big 100, and it was quite a special day for you too, man. You know, it was one of those things where, you know, you think about it a week later after he gets his at the tournament. Now it's your turn, buddy. So within a week, two guys been working hard together, friends, things are good. You both hit your 100.
Yeah.
Man, you guys must have really boosted up the team that week. That must have really been a nice team boost. What was your feeling that day, brother?
It was awesome, you know, being able to follow in Brody's steps, I guess. It's nice to give the team a boost, help everyone get to their goals, show everyone it's possible.
Absolutely.
You can do it.
And, you know, you still got a whole nother year left ahead of you, man. You got a lot more numbers that you can be able to still put under your belt here, you know, of wins and all that stuff. But think about it, you know, staying healthy is key. But you know, that was another thing too, is that you did it also at a tournament. At the Voc tournament, where you guys ended up literally pacing second in the Voc tournament, right? You guys were the runner-ups in that one. So, what do you notice the difference between a Voc tournament and just a regular invitational tournament?
It's a lot more pressure, you know. It's a bigger stage.
You got, you know, there's an opportunity to get your name on the banner. If you win that, you know, Kyle back-to-back this year. So he won his for us sophomore year, and then he just repeated this year. So, you know, you get your name up on the banner again.
That's great.
You know, so, you know, Kyle calls it banner season. You know, you get to the end of the season, it's banner season. It's time to get your name up there if you can.
Hey,
you know?
I love banner season.
Listen,
you know.
So we all work
it's
for
team. That's what I tell people. It's a team sport in one way, but another way, it's all about you, the individual, as well. You know, you look at what you guys do, you can look at the same in skiing, you know. You're skiing for the best time, but you're also getting that number to add to your team total, you know. So you're still working your individual programs, guys, doing what you do, but it also still comes to what the tally is on the team at the end of the day, you know. Swimming, same thing.
Sure.
You know, we really do have a lot of opportunities for people that are individually inclined on being able to work hard on building their own self, that you got sports around here that you could be able to get involved in that could still be team-oriented, but also be able to be for you.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of sports, you know, football, wrestling, golf, I guess. Individual-wise, you can get your name on a banner individually.
Tennis, you know, there's things that you can do, but
you know, but like baseball and football generally. Football, I guess you can for 1,000 yards, but you know, baseball and soccer and those other sports, you just know individual name.
There isn't.
It's
all team.
team.
It's totally team. Which I like in one way, but I also like when someone can be challenged.
Yeah.
I want this kid to be challenged. I want him to go up against the kid down in Springfield area and say, all right, how can you match up against the big boy from the city down there in big old Springfield? And then you get an idea as an individual, what do I need to work on? What am I missing? Or, wow, I guess I've really improved in this part of my game.
Yeah.
Because I have taken on a couple of really good guys that are compared to me, and I've been able to do what I'm doing. So those are a way for you guys to sort of weigh yourselves in. Josh, you're the young guy now, so you're the new guy coming through. What's your goal for next year? What's your game plan? You have any kind of little game plan going in?
To try to get past 60 wins.
All right. Well, so your goal is you want to try to get that 100 too by the time you're done, right?
Yeah.
Well, you just got to keep working hard. What is your biggest asset that you have for yourself when you're out on that mat? What do you think is your biggest strength?
I don't really know.
All right.
Staying focused.
Just staying focused and being able to know that you need to be able to know that you got to watch what this opponent's going to try to do, right?
Yeah.
Now, what about you? You have a special strength that you're really good at, Kyle?
Honestly, the coaching, just listening to what coaches have to say. A lot of times they'll be like, they don't really say much because they want you to do your own thing. Just focus on what you know.
Yep.
Attack it, basically.
What about you, Brody? What was your biggest thing that you were really good at?
Defense.
Defense? You were a really good defender?
Yeah, with my torn ACL, it was hard to get in on shots, and it restricted my wrestling to a smaller ability. So I had to switch up tactics, and I did more defense and was able to score a lot of points like that.
But the best part about it is that you took the thing that was your liability, which is what happened to your injury, that you were able to take to an advantage by using your head.
Yeah.
And look where it got you, though.
Yeah.
You had a great year under a circumstance that could have been a lot worse,
Yeah.
So that's a really great strategy that he was able to use that was to his advantage.
Oh, yeah,
So
absolutely.
that was a really smart move on your part. And you walked in here today, buddy. So that's even, but we want to wish you. Hey, you did, man. But I just want to say that I know you got a surgery coming up, and we want to send our best to you because you're getting ready to get into the workforce and move on with your career. You plan on going to college or anything, or right into the workforce?
I'm thinking right into the workforce.
Right into the workforce.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the best part of going to tech.
Yep.
You guys can get right in. You already got some on-the-job training. You already got some of that. So now it's time to get right in there and get busy. Earn some cash.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what it's about. I also as I'm looking through my homework of you guys, I noticed that you guys got in a really good tournament up at Taconic, and one thing I noticed is that there were a couple of teams that were pretty even amongst teams. It was like you guys, that Hamden Charter School of Science and Hampshire Regional were pretty much right in there, and then Taconic looks like that Division I school of bigger guys, more population.
Yeah.
Did they have a lot more play?
Oh yeah, their team was
They're huge.
triple RT. Yeah.
So you lose 6 points every single time that you couldn't fill a class.
Yeah, they're
right?
just a big. They they're co-oping with 2 or 3 other schools.
Oh, they are.
Oh,
They just go under the Taconic name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they use the D3 status that school has, but they're obviously drawing from bigger numbers and they're I believe that. They have a feeder program through the youth program they have up there. I think it's Berkshire Youth Wrestling.
Okay.
Which is what Mike's doing with the Franklin 5
With the
wrestling
Franklin
group.
5, right.
He's back to doing the youth wrestling again. So he's got some early youth session, and then the high school kids can come in and wrestle. So that's big. If you can get a youth program feeding your program,
Darn right.
You got all those kids coming in. Just keep filling in as you have seniors going out. You have youth kids coming in.
It's really true. And let me tell you, feeder
a big
programs
deal.
is what builds programs on the high school level.
Yep.
You look at what we got here. You look at like Greenfield, Greenfield minor league baseball. Greenfield baseball is always pretty good.
Yeah.
Coach Husick's been around for over 40 years,
Yeah.
Still doing it, man.
Yeah.
The guy, there's no change in coaches, still been the same guy, still same feeder program, still right here in town.
Yep.
And Greenfield's always been competitive.
Yeah.
Always.
Same thing with the softball program.
And the same with the
in
softball.
Greenfield.
Look at the softball program's done for Mullins, all right?
Yep.
Wonderful things,
Yep.
okay? Look at Greenfield this year. Greenfield Turners in softball this year is
Yeah.
going to be a treat
Yeah.
for anyone
It's
who
gonna be
loves
great.
good softball.
Yeah.
Because those two teams
So that's what Mike's trying to do.
Yep.
Mike's trying to build that feeder program and get more kids interested in wrestling and coming out and trying it, and to help, not just feed just the tech school, but, to feed Frontier, to feed Mohawk. Even we have AFL kids and Orange kids that go to Mahar.
Yeah.
Feed those school programs. And then I even think that I heard some people talking about kids from like South Hadley and Northampton coming up to wrestle for Mike over the summer. Whether they do or not, I don't know. But that's a program that can feed a bunch of schools and help build up the sport. Because let's face it, we used to have Greenfield used to have wrestling, Pioneer used to have wrestling. We don't have those schools no more.
It's true, because my son was on the first wrestling program at Greenfield High School. My son's now 38. So that tells you how many years it's been since they had that program.
Yeah, I think
it's a long time ago.
The program closed probably about 5 or 6 years ago was like the last time they had kids wrestling for them.
And we had a girl. He had a girl on his team too at the time.
Yeah. She was actually on the world team, I think, and went to the Olympics a couple times.
Yeah.
She was that good,
Yeah, that's pretty talented stuff right there.
Yeah. So that's good stuff, local stuff,
Yeah, it is. It makes you feel really good when you hear stories like that. Now, I'm looking right here, and I see that Frontier ended up with 99 points in that match, and you guys ended up with 156. So you guys were able to also have a pretty good handle on even our local team, and there was no other local in there. But we also know that Mohawk's really struggling with numbers. And, they're losing all the time because they just don't have the numbers you guys have.
Yeah, I mean, they have some decent wrestlers. They just don't have the number of
They have
kids.
2 or 3 guys that I noticed that do pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's those 3 guys, though. It's pretty much what I see.
That's where it starts and stops. And that's the problem with small numbers is, and again, we got to give credit to Joe and the coaching staff at our school to able to get the kids to come out and build the talent. A lot of these kids come in never having wrestled. These guys wrestled a lot. And Brody, I think Brody started.
Brody, when did you start?
I started in 8th grade.
You were an 8th grader.
Yeah.
Frontier.
So you really, and you went to Frontier. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's how you know Brian and So that's how you're able to. Okay. But what's funny is you look at where you're at. You started this guy right here started in 4th grade. You started in 8th grade. There's a big difference of experience that you can gain in that 4 years.
Yeah.
You're sort of coming in sort of virgin of what you need to learn, and these guys have already learned some of those techniques and things that you need to know.
They're far more advanced.
Sure.
And for Coach Aiken, it's easier for him to work with kids like Josh, who have a lot of that skill already and already have a base to work with, and he's basically refining that at that point, so Kyle and Josh just refining what they've already learned in the youth levels and, changing some techniques and whatever, he works on other things with them, but to kind of get them to do a little bit different things or, tweak, Kyle's a top rider, he likes to be on top and with legs, and that's something that Mike can work on and kind of go through different scenarios and strategies on how to run what he likes to run. So, those are things that they can work on. But you really can't with a kid that comes in as a first-year wrestler, as a freshman, totally different game. Now you got to start from the bottom, and you got to build that kid and learn the basic stuff, shooting and sprawling and takedowns and all of that stuff. You got to learn that.
Right.
You got to learn the basic stuff, starting positions and all the things you got to do. These guys already had all that.
Yeah.
So they didn't have to learn.
And this kid comes in at 8th grade, and by the time his senior year comes, he gets that 100 wins.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a testament to how hard Brody worked, man.
Well, not only that, Brody was stuck behind some kids your freshman.
Yeah, my freshman year.
So in sophomore year, did you wrestle more your sophomore year?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he didn't get a lot of opportunity when he was younger.
That's what Coach Kamash said. He said that he was behind a couple of other.
Yeah, some guys that were pretty good.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah.
And the rooms are competitive, and you got to win that spot. And that's the one thing with wrestling is you got to win your spot to wrestle.
Yeah.
So so for him to do it is even bigger because he didn't get to wrestle a lot.
Right.
When he was a freshman and maybe into a sophomore year, beginning of that, and then have to really bloom your junior and senior year to really put enough wins on to be able to get to that 100 wins. So that makes it an even bigger deal.
You know, I look back at some of the other guys that you guys have had, and you know, you had Talega and
Spencer.
You had Spencer, and you know, let's even go to this year. You know, you Timmy Fritz. Now, Timmy Fritz is one of those kids who started like 9th grade or 8th grade, right? So he was one of those kids that never did it before and had a lot to learn.
Yeah.
So as he's been going through his career as a wrestler, he sort of had a late start himself.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You know, when you start from the bottom and you have to, you know, so basically, you know, you're giving away 2 years because by the time you become a junior, you've really learned all the stuff that would really get you to be more of a better than 50-50 wrestler, you know, and be competitive. And, you know, when coach sends you out there, he has a good idea that you could win or lose. You know, he knows where you're going to be.
Yeah.
As opposed to, you know, a kid that's like these guys, you know, like Joe, when he got him this year, you know, that was a big deal for him.
Yeah.
You know, that's like adding not a guaranteed win, but that, you know he's going to probably win 75% of his matches.
And he has.
Yeah.
And that's the key.
Yeah.
He's won 75% of his matches. So he came in and proved to himself that he could do it. And that's awesome, Josh. That's what you want to do. You want to come in from the bottom floor and you want to make a presence. So you want people to know, hey, I'm all right, man. I'm gonna get this done, you know?
Yeah.
And you've been able to do that this year. You had a great year. That's why I wanted to invite you guys here, is because it was all good. You know, milestone, future guy, parent of 2 kids who commitment was totally low.
Believe it or not, he actually had a milestone of his own, even though it's not on a banner anywhere. But, you know, the school record was 33 wins for a freshman.
Yeah.
Which was David Weed, and he's been gone for a little while, but he actually still comes into practice. But, you know, Kyle was gunning for that, didn't quite get there. He got 31.
Yeah.
And then so Josh, when he came, he wanted to beat Kyle, and then he wanted to get past, you know, David also, and he did that, you know. So he ended up with 36 wins on his career as a freshman.
So that's why you said you want to get around that 70 win mark to be able to get yourself into the next year to, you know, ride in that area. Hey, and you know what? The way you've been working, you can do that. You know what name I saw a lot back in the day under the 2 little guys was Peter Saladino and Kyle Brunelle. It was like you 2 guys. Whatever happened to Saladino? Did he not play this year?
He didn't wrestle this year.
He didn't. Okay.
And I think he had a back injury. Was what happened?
Okay.
I'm not sure how he did that, but
I noticed he went up a class ahead of him. They wrestled him at like 113, and he was at like 106 or something. Saladino for a while.
Well, so freshman year, Kyle was a 106, and Peter was a 106, but you wrestle for your spot. So
you wrestle for your spot. Okay.
Peter didn't beat Kyle, so Peter had to go up to the 113. But Joe shuffled him back and forth.
Okay, that's what he did. Yeah.
Yeah, and then his sophomore year, same thing. I think so. Peter was a 120, and Kyle was a 26. So they weren't battling for a spot at that point.
Right. Yeah.
And then he got hurt. I don't know.
Yeah, because it was like this was the year I never saw his name anywhere.
So
that's why I was curious. That's why I asked.
He said that he's going to wrestle next year. He's going to come back and wrestle his senior year. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, so he was a kid that could have got 100 wins. But
I know he did well.
Yeah,
that kid was pulling off a lot of wins. Hey.
Yeah, and I think he has like a little over 50 career wins. You know, he'd have to have like this
incredible year to make that happen. Yeah, you'd have to win every match in that.
Literally, and go deep into the tournament. You know, sectional states and all states, and even maybe into New England. So the odds of that happening are probably pretty slim.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, for him to get to 100 wins would be a stretch. But hopefully he's healthy and he comes back and he can wrestle next year.
He'll help your team.
Oh, we absolutely could use him. You know, there's some other kids that we lost. You know, we lost some kids to school choice. Not school choice, that moved out of town, and some of those kids wrestled actually for some other schools that we saw.
Yeah.
You know, so that hurt the team numbers wise. Some other kids quit that potentially will come back next year. I don't know.
How many kids of the team are seniors this year? I know Fritzy's one and Brody's
4 kids. So Walker, Brody, Tim, and Aiden Stacy.
Oh, and Stacy's gone, of course, too.
Yep.
So here's another congratulations for a kid, man. He getting an Eagle Scout. That's a big deal, too.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
So that kid's literally becoming an Eagle Scout, goes to school full time, plays sports, works, got a part-time job, too. That kid put in his effort, man. There's a kid who worked hard. There's a work ethic for that guy. Oh, yeah, man. I love Aiden. He's a great kid,
No,
too.
he is. I know his dad. I went to school with his dad. He's a great guy.
Awesome family.
Yeah. No, good kid.
Matt's a good man, too.
It's a great accolade to get that, you know, to have that.
Absolutely. You know, I'm sitting here and I see the first wrestling titles for Kyle Brunelle, Brody Wood, right here. Headlines right there. Franklin County Tech, second place in Western Mass.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
The face says it all, my friend. That is the face of a winner. And a winner that's proud of himself, man.
Yeah.
You were pumped, weren't you, man?
Yep.
Yeah. But you know what? It's a feeling that you'll never forget. It's that memory that you'll always have for the rest of your life, man.
Yeah.
You know, and that'll be up in the rafters too. Western Mass Wrestling Champion.
Yep.
You know, you're there, man. You're there too. You know, you guys got a lot to be proud of this year, and I'm telling you, you're next, man. You know, I'll be sitting back here with you in a couple years, and we'll sit back with Dad again, and hopefully have a couple of new upcoming kids coming through, we can continue to do this. Because I've always told Coach Gamache that I've always been able to try to do an interview with the wrestling team. You know, we did one over at Hubie's one year. It was a lot of fun. And I think you were just beginning. I think that's the year that Fritzy was on his first year, and he's like, I got a lot to learn. He didn't even know what to say. He was, because I've known Tim since he was a little kid too. You know.
Yeah, I coached him in baseball.
Exactly. That's you know. And I've known his mom and his dad for years, and just a good family. But there's a kid, like you said, we start on the ground floor, you know? What about this Picard kid? I want to hear a little bit about him.
A little bit of Walker.
Yeah.
Really knows about Walker.
All right, so help us out about this guy, because he seems pretty darn good, man.
Yeah, he started wrestling in 7th grade.
Okay.
And then he's one of the people to push me to wrestle in 8th grade. So we both wrestled at Frontier together, and then he kind of just stopped. Because of work reasons, he worked on a farm. And then I was like, Walker, just come back. It's your senior year, one last chance to get your name up there. Because I knew he wanted it, but he wasn't really showing it. So he put in the work, and then he came back out and just stole the show.
Fantastic year. He had over 40 wins this year.
That kid was honestly you three and you four guys and him that you know, and you know Aiden ended up, you know, he won matches and lost matches, and Wood was, I mean, and Timmy Fritz was the same way.
The other kid in that mix is a sophomore, Noah.
Fuse.
You know,
Noah Fuse.
Yeah, he had a fantastic year.
Yeah,
and he's a kid that you're gonna have to keep your eye on the next couple of years, because he's gonna do some good things.
Yeah.
I think, you know, he's definitely going to get to 100 wins. You know, and he very well may win a Western Mass title. I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
Cool.
Yeah, he's a great kid too. You know.
I know. I look and they're all great kids, man. You know.
Yeah, I think he was up around 26 or 28 wins this year.
Yeah.
Which is huge, because I think he only won 10 matches his freshman year.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, so that's huge.
If you can win 2/3 of your matches, that's pretty darn good, right?
Yep.
You
He's
know?
a great kid.
Yeah. So when I see you guys there again, you know, and there it is, Coach back saying something nice about you guys again. He goes, you know, two guys that week apart, they get their 100 wins. They both work hard together. They both go into Western Mass. They both win Western Mass titles. It's a testament to the work and the commitment that they made to themselves and to the sport. That's a pretty damn good compliment by your coach when he says something like that.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, he takes really the time to make sure that he gives you guys the praise that you guys deserve, you know? But he also realizes that it's not him. It's about you. And you know, when you see quotes from coaches and it's all about them all the time and never about the coach.
Yeah, not
that
Gamache.
says a lot
Gamache
about who the coach is. And you know, you have a double good for you guys have not only the guy who's your coach, but he's also the athletic director of your school.
Yeah.
So he's taking pride in the athletic program because that's what he does for a job, all right?
Yeah.
So you guys got the win-win with Coach Gamache.
Yeah,
over there.
absolutely.
And a top shelf man. And a true classy guy that everyone respects in this area. I've never heard a bad thing about Coach Joe anywhere.
Never.
You know, he's just not that kind of guy. You know,
and he doesn't take credit for the kids' accolades. You know, when the kids get the accolades, it's, you know, when someone says, you know, great job, coach, you're doing a great job. You know, and he'll say, you know, it's not me, it's the kids. They're doing the work.
It's true.
I'm just here.
All we can do is we can give you guys the tools, but you guys have to take it from there and be able to, you know, process it and do it. Is what you guys have to do. It's like anything. Go to school, right? You get a book, you open it up, you got to do your work, okay? It's up to you, man. Everybody gets a chance to have the same book. It's what you do with that book.
That's right.
And that's how you got to look at it in coaching as well. Well, guys, I want to say thank you so much. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And I wish you the best of luck in your endeavors on whatever your game plan is.
Thank you.
And really, congratulations to you, Brody. I'm really proud of you, man. And for a guy who started out so young doing this, and to be able to hit that 100 wins before you graduated, that's just a beautiful thing. And the Western Mass Championship was fantastic, and you should be very proud of yourself. Well, there, mister, you're back again next year.
Yeah.
You and little bro, you guys are going to be able to do it again. Dad ain't going nowhere either, and Mom. You know, Marcy, yes, you're a part of it too, Marcy. But I just want to say that you guys got a lot going for you, and continue to just have fun. Like you said, it is about staying focused and having some fun and trying to stay focused on what you're doing, and that's the key right there. And congratulations, freshman getting over the 30 mark,
Thank
which
you.
is pretty sweet. You know,
Yeah,
that's a wonderful
big
thing, and
thing.
you should be very proud of yourself because you know you've worked really hard on your first year, and you know to see the progress must be a beautiful thing for you too.
Yeah, you know, it was good. It was great. You know, and he was a bit rusty coming back to wrestle this year because he didn't wrestle all summer.
Yep.
After his injury, so I was a little nervous. You know, a little ginger with the arm, but you know, it worked out fine. He was okay all season, and you know, he wore that brace, and so
Yeah.
we'll move on to next year.
Well, and Jay, we've known each other a long time,
Yeah,
buddy. It's
yeah.
great,
No,
great
it's
to have
great.
you. I'm
Love
so
that.
glad you guys all made it.
Awesome.
All right, well, we're going to put a wrap here on the show today, and I just want to say thank you to these guys. These guys have worked really hard throughout their careers. They worked really hard throughout the season, and I couldn't be more proud of what they've been able to achieve, this team this year at the Franklin County Tech School. And it really comes down to a lot of elements. It comes down to the commitment they put into their health, the commitment that they put into their team, and the commitment that they also put into being able to be good people in the community as well. So when you can be able to have all those elements all on your side, it's a damn good season, and it surely was for the Franklin County Tech wrestling team. So for me, Bobby C., also my guests here today, Brody Wood, Kyle Brunelle, Josh Brunelle, and Dad Jason. We'll do it again another time. We'll be back on here, be able to talk about other great interviews with other folks as we're into our mid-season, getting ready for our spring sports. Still got a mud that's still got to get cleaned up, and we still got snow that's still got to melt before we can start any of these games. So as we say goodbye for another week, I want to say thank you to Philippe Simone, also our sponsors here today, the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield, and by Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue A in Turners Falls. Remember, support your local teams, and don't forget about us on gctv.org, also the FCAT in South Deerfield, and we're on MCTV in Turners Falls. Until we meet again, I'm Bobby C. Have a great night, everyone.
Thanks for watching the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report on GCTV. Catch a game, and be sure to join us next time.